Well, I just heard from Amber Lawley. I want to take this time to thank them for sponsoring our shows last week. They called to let me know that my subscribers bought a lot of their CBD lotion. I was really happy to hear that. As their way of saying thank you to my subscribers, they are now offering you this deal. For every 3 items you buy, the 3rd item will be free. That's right. So every time you buy 3 items, the 3rd item is free. Just use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and the 3rd item is free. One thing I've learned about this lotion, not only does it help with joint pain as well as muscle pain, but man, it makes your skin really smooth. So as an added bonus, not only does it help with joint and muscle pain, it also helps out with making your skin very smooth. An added bonus. So go on over there to Amber Lawley, and remember, for every 3 items you buy, the 3rd one is free when you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y. Go check them out.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? So yesterday I released a video talking about Iraq being into Chapter 7, and if they're removed out of Chapter 7, what happens? Well, we know in 2013 they were taken out of Chapter 7, and the article was from 2013, but it wasn't about the year. I was just trying to show you guys in there the details of what the article said. The details are what were important because it explains what happens when Iraq is taken out of Chapter 7. For those of you who've been holding on to the Iraqi Dinar for so long, there have been a ton of positive movements. Well, guess what? I got a follow-up. Yes, something to think about. Before we get started, hit the thumbs up button, because when you do, it helps us get past the algorithm that YouTube puts on us and keeps us from being shadow banned. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. The disclaimer here is I'm not a financial advisor, a lawyer, or an accountant. The information that I share with you, I do freely. It is of my own opinion. Hey folks, just a quick reminder that back in 2008 and 9, a lot of people lost all of their retirement savings in their 401ks and IRAs because they did not own gold and silver. Yeah, that's right. Gold and silver protects you from a market crash. So do yourself a favor, protect your retirement by purchasing gold and silver. You can go to moneymetals.com, reach out to them, and they will help you set yourself up to protect you and your family from having to start all over from scratch. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they will send along with your order a free half ounce of silver. So folks, do yourself a favor, head on over to moneymetals.com and protect you and your family from a market crash, as well as inflation. That's right, head on over to Money Metals when you want to buy gold and silver. Keep in mind, if you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. Hey, right now, a special offer for my audiences only. You have a chance to win 100 free American Silver Eagles. That's over $3,000 in value. And all you have to do is enter your email to win. That's it. That's right, there's no obligations to purchase. The link is down below in the description, so head on over there, enter to win. You have between now and December 31st of this year to enter. The only way you can for sure not win 100 silver American Eagles is by not entering at all. So do yourself a favor and enter your email so you have a chance to win. People keep asking me, where is the link, Pimpy? It's real simple. If you're at my page on YouTube and you're watching any of the videos, any of them, you see the video here and you scroll down, see my name right here? If you go here where it says show more and you click it, here's all the links to the things you have access to. If you want to enter into the competition to win 100 free medals, just click it right here and it'll take you to the website where you can sign up. So here's something to think about. Iraq is being expedited through the World Trade Organization. Iraq has started infrastructure and rebuilding. Their economy is recovering. Remember this year we saw an article in which Iraq led all Arab nations as far as GDP was concerned. So the growth is there. They had a great year for oil, enough to where it helped them avoid from having a deficit. We know there's other oil fields out there that they just found. We know the country is stable. We know there's a couple of terrorist attacks, small for now. Hopefully they won't get any bigger. We know the election was held, and there's no civil unrest that we're aware of. We know that Al-Qademi seems to be a stand-up kind of guy who's getting his country back on its feet. We know that Sadr is a nationalist, and he's all about the Iraqi people. And we also know that he is the man who said before the elections that he wants the Iraqi dinar rate change to go back. Now, he didn't say where to, but he said it was too low and it was affecting the poor people. So we know that we have a man in there that's a holy man and a leader, very influential, that at least is going to be campaigning about increasing the value of the dinar. I still think it's going to go up in increments, but just in case they do take the RI or the RV route. Now, the RI is just reinstating the old rate, which was $3.22. And these people going, oh man, if you take in consideration inflation of everything, no, you don't need that. No, you don't. Just reinstate the rate. I showed you articles from the United Nations Council, directly from them, that says there's no reason why Iraq cannot be reinstated to the original rate. I showed you those. They're in the videos. Now, having said that, doesn't mean they're going to be reinstated. I'm just saying, if it does, that is the rate it appears to be, $3.22. Now, if they have an RV, which means a revaluation, which means they change the value. We just saw that happen at the end of last year when they revalued the currency and lowered the value of the dinar. New oil fields, with them being expedited through the World Trade Organization, you're starting to see that article back in 2013, that whole plan that's laid out there actually is happening now. The highlights of this article was saying allowing Baghdad to regain control over its own currency, oil, and economy. Now remember, they stopped the deductions from the oil revenue because the compensation was only like $43 million away, and it's already paid. It just needs to be sent over. Besides placing limits on its own wealth, the sanctions also placed limits on the Iraqi military. So look, it placed limits on use of its wealth. So in this article, again, it goes on to say its return will not only revitalize the economy, it will strengthen the value of the Iraqi dinar and increase its purchasing power. We know their purchasing power just recently was lowered. And this person goes on to suggest that once Chapter 7 is lifted, the value of the Iraqi dinar would increase against other currencies to the point, and that the dinar would be in such demand, it would be in demand more than the US dollar, which is the $1 that countries all around the world want to trade for. But there's another part of this that was catching my attention. It's the lifting Chapter 7 against Iraq will enable it to regain independence in its own oil policies. And Iraq again can become an important regional and international energy player. Right here it says Iraq plans to emerge as one of the world's biggest oil exporters, and forget about the years because this is for 2013. But look at it says right here, that's their goal, to be one of the world's largest oil exporters. Then down here it says, here's the energy plan. Look at, according to Iraq's energy plan, oil exports are expected to reach 6 million barrels per day by 2017, elevating the federal budget to $216 billion. The plan aims for exports of 9 million barrels a day by 2020. Well, then I did a video and showed you that it's just slightly over 4 million barrels per day. So they're a little off. It would increase their budget to $324 billion. Now remember, this is from 2013, so I'm sure these numbers have changed. They wanted 9 million barrels by 2020. Iraq seeks to increase its production to 8 million barrels per day. Is it me, or does it look like they're trying to line up with what's in that article? The oil minister revealed that his ministry is seeking to increase oil production to reach 8 million barrels of oil. So at the inauguration of a project that isolated gas and upgraded crude specifications in the Berzarkin oil field, the minister said that his ministry is working to increase the quantities of gas produced from oil fields and planning to increase production to 8 million barrels per day, while increasing the production of gas quantity in his oil fields. So they're trying to increase to 8 million per day. Here it says their plan was to be at 9 million by 2020. So going from 4.1 million to 8 million is a pretty big jump, but they have the oil to do it, giving them a much bigger budget. As long as oil prices continue to stay high and they're pushing out more barrels, more money for Iraq, no need to borrow. This gives them a chance at continuing with infrastructure, rebuilding the private sector, more people going back to work, less people on government aid, more people paying taxes, more people making money to where they could go out and buy things that they not only need, but things that they want. TVs, radios, clothes, stimulating the economy. They had the fastest growing economy in 2021, more than any other Arab nation. They had the highest GDP. The IMF and the World Bank are anticipating a huge jump again for Iraq in 2022. Barring no issues with ISIS and no magical major drop in oil prices, if the oil prices remain somewhere where they are now and continue, even if it doesn't grow, just maintains where it is, Iraq is going to have a huge surplus, allowing them to do a lot more in country. All of this stuff, all of these things, getting out of Chapter 7, regaining their independence on their own oil policies, they had a plan. According to Iraqi's energy plan, oil exports are expected to reach. They had a plan. It looks like they're trying to fall back in line with the plan. They're trying to align themselves up with the plan. Except for this is 9 million by 2020. We're just going to do 8 million by 2022. You can see here by 2025, their goal is to exceed 12 million barrels per day. Their debt to Kuwait is paid off. Their country appears stable. Elections were held. We know Iraq remains on the United Kingdom's blacklist for money laundering and terrorist funding. And they're meeting regularly with the diplomats over there to find out what it is they need to do to get removed off the list. And they go there once every 3 months, it is, to show them what they've accomplished and then find out what more they need to do. Based on this older article that lays out in detail what happens once they're out of Chapter 7, based on what appears to be an older Iraqi energy plan, you can see here what they wanted to do. Then we find out today in the news, they're increasing up to 8 million per day. Iraq needs their own sovereignty. Well, guess what? The United States and the coalition military are leaving. They have to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. So we got the Peshmerga, they got the security people out there, and you have the Iraq military. It says here, he pointed out that all programs and plans implemented by the oil sector companies aim to achieve 2 goals. The first is to reach the planned increases of crude oil within the coming years. And the second is to invest all quantities of gas produced in all fields to achieve stability in the provisions of gas supplies for the production of electric power and all associated industries. See, I told you the electric grid is what they're really going to be focusing on now, because it's kind of hard to rebuild your country if you're out there with a hammer and a chisel when you could be using a jackhammer. Get where I'm coming from? So it says down here on this part, it says, for his part, the Director General of the oil company said during the press interview that the new projects are a series of projects implemented by his company in cooperation with the international companies and contracting companies with the aim of increasing production capacity and improving the quality of oil extracted from the ground. This paragraph I thought was pretty interesting. A few hours after Chapter 7 was lifted in 2013, the value of the Iraqi dinar increased against other currencies. The exchange rate of the dinar is fixed against the dollar. So although it increased, it was still pegged to the US dollar. But its value continues to rise. And economics and banking experts expect that the dinar will probably replace the dollar for investments, and that as demand for the dinar rises, so will its value. So here we are on the Forex. People are saying, hey, once the Iraqi Dinar is on the Forex, then that's when things will really change. As you can see here, straight from the Forex, can I trade the Iraqi Dinar? At this time, Forex.com does not offer trading in the Iraqi Dinar. However, we do offer Forex trading on over 800 countries or 80 countries, blah, 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 blah. So at the moment, you could see the IQD is not even trading on the Forex. So that's another step that has to be taken. But first and foremost, they have to get out of Chapter 7. Once they're out of Chapter 7, I think you're going to see things happen very quickly. World Trade Organization, sovereignty restored, the increase in oil production, them removed off the blacklist in the UK. The Iraqi people are going to have a lot to celebrate. Their purchasing power is going to increase. Now, having said that, we don't know the date and we don't know the rate. And there's a lot of people out there blowing smoke up your butt. And already I hear gurus going, oh, see? Oh, yeah, I knew this. Yeah, I knew this. I knew this was going to happen. See, look, if you keep throwing enough crap up against the wall, something's bound to stick. And if I tell you every single day that today is the day that the Iraqi dinar is going to revalue, eventually one day I'm going to get it right. You see what I'm saying? Because you got them people out there doing that. Let's be excited about this news and be happy about it, but don't get overboard. Stay grounded. This is all great information. At least now you know what happens when they lift Chapter 7. There's going to be some huge changes for Iraq. Somebody said to me, Pimpy, no, man, they never closed Chapter 7 back in 2013. Yes, they did. There's a whole thing right here that goes on about it. So you can see here, in the first time they were lifted out of Chapter 7, what it's talking about. It says right here, with the decision adopted by the United Nations Security Council last Thursday, Iraq has turned an important page in its troubled nation's history. After 23 years of punitive measures put in place under Chapter 7 of the United Nations chapter, the country has now cleared the way to end its pariah status in the international system. This has been achieved by reaching an understanding with Kuwait on how to settle all the outstanding issues which still placed it under the coercive chapter of the United Nations charters. Iraq was subject to a number of sanctions, including an arms embargo and asset freeze on individuals and entities. Since many of the most contentious issues have now been dealt with, the United Nations Security Council decided on June 29th to address the remaining questions of missing Kuwait personality and the property under Chapter 7, be peaceful means. Iraq remains in Chapter 7 obligations until the debt is paid off. And we know it's paid off now, but this was back in 2013 because people are going, oh, if they were lifted, all this stuff didn't happen. No, it was lifted, but you hear what it says. They still were under the obligations to pay. Then it said the United Nations decision, therefore, closes both literally and figuratively a painful chapter in Iraq's history. Then here it gives you the history of it, is what it does, and how it started. So again, this is an older article. You can see right here. The 15-member United Nations Security Council unanimously agreed on June 27, 2013 to remove Iraq from Chapter 7. So here they're increasing their oil. And here from the article on December the 9th, it tells you right here that once they confirm that Kuwait has received the remaining $43 million, they will immediately submit a request to the General Secretary of the United Nations requesting that it be removed from the provisions of Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. I think once Iraq is out of Chapter 7, if we're going to see an actual RV or an RI, it'll happen right before they're put on the Forex. I still think it's going to go up in increments. Yeah, I know, don't boo me. I'm just saying, because you can't shock the economy. Remember, they're still too reliant on oil. What good is it to change the rate of the dinar if all of a sudden the oil prices drop all the way down, then you're back in trouble? Understand that devaluing the currency affected the economy there. Increasing the value of it is going to affect it as well. Too high, and you can crash the economy. I think you're going to see it go up in increments. But in the other videos that I did, I showed you that they were keeping track of two parallel rates. One that they call the realization rate and the other one was the rate that they were currently using. So I'm wondering if they were keeping track of the real rate under the realization rate, of course, as compared to where the rate is that they're using now. Because if that's the case, then they've been making sure that they need to do in country what it takes to maintain that real rate, whatever it is. If we look at this layout here, and yes, it's from 2013, because people, that's from 2013. Yeah, I know, I told you that. But it had nothing to do with the details in here. So if you look at the layout and the details of this article, Iraq had an energy plan. By 2020, they wanted to be at 9 million barrels per day. We just saw an article that said they're going to increase it to 8. We're currently at 4.1. Are they trying to get here? It looks like it. That extra money is going to be a huge boost for Iraq. If you can increase their purchasing power, that means they can import way more goods so they can really rebuild their country. I think we're way closer to having the real rate of the Iraqi dinar come out than we ever been before. I don't know what that rate is, and I have no idea when it's going to happen. And anybody that tells you different is full of crap. Nobody knows the rate. Nobody knows the date. Nobody. Except for those in the need to know, and you and I ain't them. So, it's exciting to see. Yes, it makes me happy. But I remembered in that article, they were talking about their energy plan needing to be at a certain level. When I started to go through the news for today, I couldn't help but notice that they increased their oil production to almost double of what it was, which lined up with the plan there. So does that mean the rate's going to change? No, that doesn't mean the rate's going to change because of that. But it certainly looks like they're trying to line themselves up with some type of plan to be reinstated. You guys let me know what you think. Anyways, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.